Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 40.
Imagine looking at a piece of wood. I mean, to most of us, wood is wood, you know? It's a table, it's a floor, it has a purpose.
You know what it is.
Exactly. You know what it feels like. But now, imagine you have so much wealth, so much power, that you can't even see the material for what it is anymore. You don't see the tree. You see the art carved into it. You don't taste the vegetable. You taste the, 20 other things used to hide it.
And that is really the question we're asking today. It's all about perception. Does having that much privilege actually refine your view of the world, or does it just blind you to what's real? It's a fascinating paradox. And this section focuses on the visit Lu Lao Lao Granny Luyu to the Jia household.
And for anyone who hasn't read it, the context here is everything. You have the Jia family, who are at the absolute peak of the aristocracy. We're talking refinement, excess, everything. And then you have Granny Lu,
who is a poor, rural peasant woman. She knows what things cost. She knows how to farm. She knows the weight of firewood.
A total culture clash. And it is hilarious. I mean, people usually talk about how funny this chapter is because she's a total fish out of water.
She is.
It's almost like a study in how raw materials get processed until they're totally unrecognizable to the person who, actually harvests them.
That's it, exactly. The theme is transformation, how wealth transforms objects and how it transforms the people who own them.
Right, so let's start with that drinking game. This scene is so important because it hinges on this one specific prop. They're all dining, wine is flowing, and Lu Lao is just trying to navigate this social minefield.
Well, and she's performing a role here. You have to remember that. She's not just a guest. She knows she's there for their amusement. She's playing up her country bumpkin persona to make the ladies laugh. It's how she gets charity.
Right.
So when they offer her wine, she looks at these tiny, delicate porcelain cups and gets nervous.
Which is so relatable. If I'm in a house with really expensive things, my elbows are glued to my sides. So she makes this joke about her clumsy and rough hands. She actually suggests, hey, do you have any wooden cups? If I drop those, it won't matter.
Which is a perfect survival instinct.
Mm.
In her world, wood is the practical choice. It's durable, it's cheap. If a wooden bowl falls on a dirt floor, you just pick it up, wipe it off, and you're good.
It represents safety.
Yes. But this is the Jia household. They don't really do utilitarian. So Fenji, the manager, she says, okay, and goes to get wooden cups. But then the head maid, Yuan Yang, steps in and says, no, not those bamboo ones. They're not impressive enough.
And instead, she brings out this incredible set of 10 nested cups.
We have to pause here, because the text is so specific. These aren't just wood. They are carved from Hrongyang roots boxwood.
Okay, so why does that matter? Is boxwood super rare or something?
It's not just rarity, it's the growth cycle. Boxwood is an incredibly slow-growing evergreen. So to get a root big enough to carve a bowl the size of a small basin, which is the biggest one in the set, you're talking about a tree that's probably hundreds of years old.
Wow.
It's dense, it's got a super tight grain, it's prized for fine carving.
So it's not just wood, it's basically time, it's history carved into a cup.
Exactly. And they aren't plain. The book says they're carved with landscapes and trees and little figures, and the whole set of 10 nests inside each other. It's a work of art.
But there's a catch. There's always a catch with this family. If you use the cups, you have to play by their rules.
And the rule is you have to drink from the entire set.
All 10 of them. That is a staggering amount of wine.
It is. And Lo Lao, realizing she's just walked right into a trap, she begs for mercy. Spare me! And she manages to get it down to just drinking from the biggest cup. But the key moment happens after she drinks.
Right. She tries to connect with them. She's holding this thing and she thinks, okay, trees. I know trees. I'm a farmer. I can figure this out.
And listen to her logic.
Yeah.
She said something like, you wealthy people wouldn't know wood, but I live with trees. I sleep on them, sit on them. In a famine, I've even eaten the bark.
She's claiming expertise from her hardship.
So she feels the weight of the cup. She looks at it and she confidently declares, this must be yellow pine.
And the whole room just bursts into laughter.
Why is that so funny to them?
Yeah.
I mean, to her, wood is wood.
Yeah.
Right? To them, it's just the height of absurdity. Yellow pine is the complete opposite of boxwood. Pine is soft, it's fast-growing, it's common, it's cheap. It's what you make a crate out of.
It's firewood.
It's firewood. So for them, confusing this exquisite, centuries-old boxwood carving with plain old pine it's like confusing a diamond with a piece of...
With broken glass, yeah.
Exactly.
But I think it's deeper than just her being wrong. She's looking at its function. She sees a wooden container. But the Jia family has refined it so much, carved it, polished it, turned it into this game that its original woodness is just invisible to her.
That is precisely it. The Jia family sees the art. Lu Lao Lao sees the resource. They are looking at the same object but seeing two completely different realities, and it's all defined by class.
Which is the perfect setup for the next item on our list, the food. Specifically the eggplant. This idea of the luxury edition really comes to a head here.
Oh, yes. The cayenne. The dried eggplant meat. It is legendary. People who study this book always point to this dish as the ultimate example of aristocratic decadence.
So they're eating, and Fengji gives Lu Lao Lao a bite of this stuff, and she eats it, she pauses, and she just shakes her head. She absolutely refuses to believe it's eggplant.
She says something really telling. She says, "There's a faint scent of eggplant, but if this is really eggplant, we farmers should stop growing other crops and just grow this."
She knows what eggplant is. She grows it. She knows the texture, the bitterness, and this dish is nothing like that. So she asks for the recipe, and Fengji just rattles it off like it's no big deal. I want to walk through this because the labor involved is just insane.
It's an exercise in pure excess. Go ahead.
Okay, step 1. You pick the eggplants when they're young. You peel them. You take out the seeds. You only keep the net meat, so right away you're throwing out most of the vegetable.
Yep, you're refining it down to a blank canvas. You take away the skin, which has texture, and the seeds, which have bitterness.
Step 2. You cut it into tiny nail-sized pieces. Then you fry it in chicken fat.
And note the fat, not oil. Chicken fat. It's rich, it's savory. You're already starting to mask the vegetable with animal flavor.
Then, step 3, the add-ins. You mix this eggplant with diced chicken breast, fresh mushrooms, fresh bamboo shoots, dried tofu, and a bunch of different dried fruits.
Look at that list. Chicken breast, the most expensive part, fresh bamboo shoots, and mushrooms. That means you have access to seasonal delicacies. And dried fruits. That adds a sweetness that would completely confuse your palate.
And it's not even close to done. You simmer all of that in chicken soup, not water, chicken soup, until it's totally dry. Then you season it with sesame oil and something called pickling oil. You seal it in a porcelain jar, and then maybe months later when you serve it, you mix it with more stir-fried chicken meat.
It's a culinary ship of Theseus. If you replace every single flavor molecule of the eggplant with chicken and mushrooms and fruit, is it still eggplant?
That's the question. And Lu Lao Lao's reaction says it all. She just sighs and says, "My Buddha, it takes 10 chickens to match this flavor."
10 chickens. That's the exchange rate. For the Jia family, an eggplant isn't just a vegetable, it's a sponge. They basically colonize the vegetable with the flavors of wealth.
It reminds me of, modern molecular gastronomy where you eat a foam that tastes like a hamburger. It's impressive, sure, but it's also a kind of erasure. The original thing is just gone.
It is erasure.
Right.
And if you grow up only eating this eggplant, you don't actually know what an eggplant is. Lu Lao Lao is the reality check. She reminds everyone that underneath those 10 chickens, there's supposed to be a simple vegetable.
So we have wood that isn't wood, an eggplant that's really chicken, and this theme of performance, it continues right after dinner. They all move to a pavilion to listen to music.
And the atmosphere here is so important. The text describes the music floating over the water through the trees. It's very ethereal. It's a totally curated sensory experience designed to make them feel elevated.
And you get this very tender moment. Bayu, the young heir, he drinks some wine and then offers the cup to his mother's lips. It's all very stylized, very proper.
It's a performance of filial piety, of grace. Everyone is behaving according to the script of high society.
Until the alcohol hits Lu Lao Lao. She's had that huge wooden cup of wine. She hears the music, and she just goes for it. She starts waving her arms and stomping her feet. She's dancing.
It's pure raw joy. She's not trained in some courtly dance. She's just feeling the beat.
But the family's reaction is what's so fascinating. Bao Yu points her out to Dai Yu, his brilliant, kind of cynical cousin, and she delivers the verdict. She quotes ancient history. She says, "When the sage's music was played, the beasts danced." Then she adds, "Today, we only have one ox dancing."
That is just a devastating line.
Calling her an ox, it seems so incredibly harsh.
Well, it's witty if you're in that group. It's the difference between high culture and folk culture, right?
Which brings us to the final stop on this little tour of distortion. It's in the garden. The matriarch, Jia Mu, is showing off the grounds, and Lu Lao Lao sees the pets on the porch. A parrot on a gold stand, and a myna bird in a cage.
And, just like she did with the wood, Lu Lao Lao misidentifies the myna bird.
She calls it a black crow that has somehow grown a phoenix head.
Think about that. A crow is a scavenger. A common, ugly bird to a farmer. A phoenix is mythical nobility. She sees this bird in a fancy cage, and she literally assumes that living in the Gia household has biologically transformed a common bird into a mythical one.
She actually says, in the city, even the birds are noble and better looking than in the country. So this leads to the big question. Throughout all of this, Lu is the clown. She gets drunk, she guesses wrong, she dances like an ox. But after breaking down the wood and the food, is she actually the one who sees things clearly?
That's the subversive genius of the novel. Lu is our baseline. She's the control group. Without her, we might just look at that eggplant recipe and think, wow, that's so sophisticated. But through her eyes, the eyes of someone who actually grows food, we realize how absurd and wasteful it all is.
She grounds the whole story. She reminds us that wood is for building and eggplant is a crop. The Gia family is floating so high above that reality, they've lost touch with the source of their own lives.
And history shows us that bubbles like that, they eventually burst. Dream of the Red Chamber is a tragedy. The Gia family's wealth is fragile, but Lu Lao's knowledge, how to survive, how to eat bark, how to grow things, that's resilient. Okay, let's shift scenes. It's a sequence of events that takes us from this just high-end snack spread to a very high-stakes tea tasting at a place called the Green Bower Hermitage.
And this store honestly is a masterclass in social signaling.
It really is. It creates such a vivid picture of the sheer wealth of the Gia family, but also the eccentricities and really the casual cruelties that come with that level of privilege.
The family and their guests, Lu Lao, they've been drinking some wine. Naturally, after wine comes the food.
To settle the stomach.
Right. So maids bring out 2 small tables and these exquisite little holding boxes or pengi. Now, for anyone imagining like a Tupperware container, help us out here. What are we actually looking at?
Right, yeah. Erase the Tupperware image immediately. Peng are these beautiful, compartmentalized lacquer boxes.
Okay.
They're usually ornate, polished, and designed specifically to present these small delicacies in a visually stunning way. And right away, the contents of these boxes define the status of everyone there.
Let's get into the menu because it is wild. In the first box, we have lotus root powder cassia sugar cakes and pine nut goose fat rolls.
And in the second box, you get these tiny 1-inch dumplings and cream-fried pastry fruits.
Just pause on those names for a second.
I know.
Yeah.
Pine nut goose fat rolls.
Yeah.
It implies a tremendous amount of labor. You have to render the goose fat, harvest the pine nuts, grind the lotus root. I mean, these aren't things you just throw together.
No, they represent hours of servant labor concentrated into a single bite.
Exactly. And that lotus root powder, that's not just flour. It's a specific, really subtle texture.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me. Grandmother Gia, the matriarch, she looks at those tiny 1-inch dumplings. She asks about the filling. The servants tell her it's crab. Now, crab is generally considered a premium ingredient. Most people would be thrilled. What does she do?
She frowns, shakes her head and says, "That's too greasy. Who could eat that?"
Who could eat that? It's crab. And then she looks at the cream-fried items.
And rejects those too.
This is a classic display of what you might call aristocratic fatigue.
That's a great way to put it. To the average person, or certainly to Lu Lao, these are rare delicacies. But for Grandmother Gia, rich, heavy foods like crab and cream are just tiresome.
She's bored by them.
Completely. It signals that her baseline for luxury is so high that special food is actually a burden to her digestion.
She eventually picks up one of the pine nut goose fat rolls, but she doesn't exactly chow down, does she?
Not at all. The text says she just tasted it once and then handed the remaining half to a maid.
That is such a power move. One tiny bite, I'm done, and you just hand it away. It really establishes the hierarchy.
She eats for flavor, not for hunger.
But then we have to pivot to Lu Lao. How does she react?
It's a complete 180. She looks at the cream-fried pastry fruits and she picks one up that's shaped like a peony flower. She is genuinely awestruck.
She says the girls in her village couldn't even cut paper patterns this delicate, let alone make food look like this.
Right. She actually jokes that she wants to take it home to use as a model for embroidery rather than eat it. She says, "I can't bear to eat it."
For her, this isn't just sustenance, it's art. It's almost supernatural craftsmanship compared to her daily life.
But unlike Grandmother Gia, she definitely doesn't let it go to waste.
No, not at all. While the Gia family is delicately picking at their food, Lu Lao and her grandson, Banner, get to work.
The text notes that they finish half the plate.
I love that image. The contrast between the nibbling aristocrats who are just over it and the hearty appetite of the visitors who are genuinely enjoying the food.
It creates a sense of vitality versus stagnation. The Jias are almost burdened by their own abundance, while Lu Lao Lao is enjoying it purely. It reminds me of that saying, hunger is the best sauce.
And the Gias have run out of that sauce a long, long time ago.
A long time ago.
Speaking of Banner, the grandson, that brings us to this brief but really telling interlude with the fruit.
It's a small moment, but I think it says so much about how we assign value to things.
It does. So the scene shifts slightly. You have Sister Fang's daughter, Dejir, holding a large pomelo, and Banner, the country boy, is holding a Buddha's hand.
We should probably clarify what a Buddha's hand is for people who haven't seen one. It sounds like a horror movie prop.
Yeah, it really does, but it's a fruit, right?
Yes, it's a type of citron. It has these long finger-like segments that make it look like a hand in a prayer position.
Ah, hence the name.
Right. The key thing is that it's incredibly fragrant, but it's almost all rind. You don't eat it. You put it in a room to make the air smell nice. It's an ornamental luxury item.
Okay, so Banner has the fancy, inedible air freshener fruit. And the rich girl, Dajir, has a pomelo, which is basically a giant sweet grapefruit.
Exactly.
Right.
But Dajir sees Banner with the Buddha's hand, and she just starts crying.
She wants the interesting-looking thing the other kid has. Classic.
Totally. So they swap. They give the fancy Buddha's hand to the rich girl and give the pomelo to Banner to calm everyone down.
And here's the payoff. Banner has been playing with this fancy fruit all day, probably getting bored because you can't do anything with it.
Right. Now he gets the pomelo. He finds it fragrant and round.
Yeah.
And what does he do?
He starts kicking it around like a soccer ball.
He plays soccer with the food. And then he eats it. He forgets about the Buddha's hand instantly because the pomelo is round and fun and tasty.
It's a moment of pure innocence. To these kids, these rare, expensive fruits are just toys. They don't care about market value.
They care about utility. Is it round? Can I kick it? Can I eat it?
It's a nice palate cleanser before we get to the really heavy social maneuvering. Because after the snacks, the group moves to the Greenbower Hermitage.
This is the domain of Miao Yu, the nun. And this is where the vibe changes from casual luxury to, well, intense snobbery.
Miao Yu is. She's a fascinating character. She's a nun, so theoretically she has left the world behind.
But she is extremely proud, a bit abrasive, and obsessed with cleanliness and aesthetics.
So Grandmother Jia enters and praises the garden, saying it's even better maintained than other places because the nuns have nothing else to do.
Ouch. Talk about a backhanded compliment.
It cuts deep. But Grandmother Jia also knows the rules. She sets a boundary immediately. She tells Miao Yu, "We've just eaten meat and wine. We shouldn't sit inside near the bodhisattva."
Right, because in this context, the smell of meat and alcohol would be considered offensive in the shrine.
Exactly. It's turbid or impure. So Grandmother Jia is actually being respectful here, asking for tea to be served outside on the porch.
To avoid desecrating the holy space.
So Miao Yu serves the tea. And the gear she brings out, wow, a tray carved with dragons and a 5-color cup. But Grandmother Jia has a very specific request. She says, "I don't drink Luan tea."
Which shows her particularity again. Luan is a very standard, high-quality green tea, but for her, it's maybe too common.
Or too strong for her age, maybe.
Right. Miao Yu knows this, of course. She smiles and says, "I know. This is old man's eyebrows."
Old man's eyebrows. Describe that for us. Is it as unappetizing as it sounds?
No. It refers to the shape of the tea leaves. They're long, thin, with silvery white down on them, looking like the eyebrows of a wise old sage.
So a very rare silver needle type of tea. Delicate, expensive.
Extremely. And then Jiamu asks about the water.
This is the first hint of the water snobbery we'll see later.
It is. Miao Yu confirms it's rainwater collected from the previous year.
Vintage rain. Okay. So Grandmother Jia takes a sip, drinks half, and then, in a move that I find hilarious, hands the rest of the cup to Lu Lao Lao.
It's a gesture that's so complex to unpack. On one hand, it's charity. On the other, she's treating Lu Lao Lao like a waste bin so the tea doesn't go to waste.
It's definitely not a gesture of equality. And Lu Lao Lao, does she savor this rare old man's eyebrows?
Not a chance. She drinks it in one gulp.
One gulp.
And her review is the best part. She says, "Good is good, but a bit plain. It would be better if it were richer or stronger."
And everyone just laughs because she's treating this delicate high-end tea like it's just something to wash down a meal.
She completely misses the subtlety. The group finds her lack of refinement entertaining. She's sort of performing the role of the rustic clown for them. This is where the episode takes a sharp turn. Miao Yu pulls the two cousins, Bao Chai and Dai Yu, into a private side room.
She separates the refined people from the vulgar crowd, and Baoyu, being curious, follows them.
This is the secret tea tasting. And if you thought the public tea service was fancy, this is another level. This is the VIP room.
Let's talk about the cups, because these aren't just cups, they're artifacts.
They're museum pieces. Miao Yu gives Bao Chai a cup that's gourd-shaped. It has text carved on it referencing a wealthy historical figure, Jin Wenkai, and even mentions the famous poet Su Shi.
Putting the name sushi on a cup, that's like having a napkin signed by Shakespeare, right?
Even more than that,
Yeah.
it implies this cup has been handled by centuries of cultural elites. It gives the object a pedigree.
And what about Dayu?
She gets a cup called a spotted rhinoceros, which is a small bowl. These are incredibly rare items made from rhinoceros horn, prized for its pattern.
So then Baoyu gets just his usual cup, a green jade dipper, and he makes a joke.
Right, he says something like, the world implies equality, but they get these ancient rarities and I just get this vulgar vessel.
He's fishing.
He is. But Miao Yu snaps right back at him. She says, this is a vulgar vessel. I doubt your wealthy family could even find one of these vulgar vessels.
She is so sharp, she's basically telling him, don't you dare insult my jade collection, rich boy. You couldn't afford this.
Right. But Baiyu is charming. He knows how to play the game. He says, when in Rome. He admits that compared to her hermitage, gold and jade are vulgar.
And that pleases her. So she brings out the big gun, a cup carved from a single bamboo root. It's huge.
It's a sea of a cup. It's got 120 sections, coiled dragons carved into it. She challenges him, asks if he can even drink that much tea.
And this leads to her philosophy on drinking, which I think is the core of her entire character.
It is. She lays down the law, she says. 1 cup is for tasting. 2 cups is just quenching thirst, which she calls a stupid thing.
A stupid thing.
And 3 cups, that's drinking like a mule or a cow.
A mule or a cow. So Lu Lao Lao, who drank that tea in 1 gulp outside to quench her thirst.
There's definitely a cow in Miao Yu's eyes. Absolutely.
Right.
Miao Yu is defining consumption not as a biological need, but as an intellectual exercise.
If you are drinking to hydrate, you are an animal. If you are drinking to taste, you are human.
Precise.
Baoyu agrees to just have 1 cup. He sips it and says it feels light and floating. He passes the test. But then comes the trap.
The water trap. This is the climax of the snobbery.
Dayu, who we have to remember is usually the most poetic, refined, sensitive character in the book, asks a question. She tastes the tea and asks, is this also last year's rainwater?
It seems like a reasonable guess.
Yeah.
The tea outside was made with last year's rainwater. Dayu is trying to show she's paying attention.
But Miao Yu's reaction is just brutal. She sneers. She calls Dayu a great vulgar person.
You great vulgar person. Imagine being called that by a nun while you're holding a priceless antique cup.
Miao Yu can't believe Dayu can't taste the difference. She reveals the truth. This isn't rain. What is it?
It is snow, but not just any snow. It is snow collected from plum blossoms.
Okay, hold on. Snow scraped off the petals of plum blossoms.
Well, collected 5 years ago at the Coiled Incense Temple. She filled a demon-faced blue urn with this snow, buried it underground for 5 years, and this is only the 2nd time she's ever opened it.
The level of specificity is insane. Snow. From a specific flower, at a specific temple, aged 5 years underground, in a demon-faced blue urn.
It represents the ultimate aesthetic curation. And she claims that old rainwater would be too heavy compared to this snow water. She's offended Dayu couldn't taste the lightness of the snow versus the heaviness of the rain.
This is the aha moment for me. It shows that no matter how high up the ladder you are, like Dayu, who is essentially royalty in this world, there's always someone higher looking down on you.
Exactly. In this room, Miao Yu is the absolute dictator of taste. It defines the hierarchy. Dayu is outclassed.
It emphasizes that Miao Yu's entire identity is built around this hyper-exclusivity. She's separated herself from the world, but she's replaced worldly attachments with an even more intense attachment to aesthetic perfection.
That's a great phrase for it. Conspicuous consumption of purity.
Which leads us to the cleanup, because the party has to end. And Baoyu remembers something. He asks, what about that fancy cup Li Lai Lao drank from?
The one outside. The Chenghua period cup. This is where Miao Yu's cleanliness obsession really kicks in. She says she wants to throw it away.
Throw away a valuable antique cup. Just smash it.
Yes, because the poor old woman used it. In Miao Yu's eyes, the cup is now dirty. It's contaminated by Lu Lao's poverty and rusticity. Now, physically dirty, could be washed, but spiritually polluted.
That is incredibly harsh. It really shows the dark side of all this refinement. But Bayou, being the bridge between these worlds, he comes up with a solution.
He suggests don't throw it away. Give it to Lu Lao Lao.
Mm-hmm.
He says she can sell it and use the money to live on.
That's surprisingly practical and kind. He takes this object of vanity and turns it into economic survival. A Chenghua cup would be worth a fortune.
Absolutely. It could support a family for a very long time. It's a life-changing amount of money.
Does Miao Yu agree to this?
She does, but with a condition. She says, I won't hand it to her myself. She refuses to touch it again.
Wow.
She says if she had used it, she would smash it. But since she hasn't used it personally, she permits Bayou to give it away.
So she's willing to be charitable as long as she doesn't have to make any physical contact with the vulgarity.
Right. And then the final purge. Bayou offers to have servants bring water to wash the floor where they were standing.
Because obviously the floor is now dirty too.
And Miao Yu agrees, but again, with a condition. The servants must leave the water buckets outside the mountain gate. They cannot enter her space.
Wait, they're too dirty to even carry the water in to clean the floor?
The logic is dizzying. They carry water to clean the floor, but the servants themselves would dirty the room, so they have to leave the water at the wall.
It's a fortress of purity. She has built a wall around herself where nothing common can enter.
Meanwhile, the family matriarch, Grandmother Jia, has just finished this huge feast.
The food coma is hitting hard.
So she decides to go take a nap in a place called Patty Sweet Cottage.
Right. And this is key, because normally Lu Lao Lao is being watched. She's the court jester, there's always a crowd.
But now, the matriarch is asleep, the family scatters, and the supervision just drops.
And Lu Lao Lao is left with the younger generation, and she is very, very intoxicated. The stage is set.
So the group is walking, and they come up to this huge, ornate stone archway.
To the family, it's just a landmark. It's the entrance to the provincial homecoming villa.
I mean, this whole garden was built for an imperial concubine's visit, so this isn't just a gate.
No, it's a monument. It's designed to be imposing.
But Lu Lao Lao, she takes one look at it, and she sees something completely different.
Not a villa.
She just drops to her knees.
Yeah.
Starts bowing, worshiping it.
She's absolutely convinced it's a temple. She's yelling, "Oh my, there's a great temple here!"
Which is just so funny because it's not. But she's so sure of herself. She points at the characters on the arch.
And she says, "I recognize these words." That says the Hall of the Jade Emperor, doesn't it?
The Jade Emperor being the ruler of heaven in Chinese folklore.
Exactly. So she sees this unbelievable luxury, and her brain can only process it as divine. Humans can't live like this.
It has to be a temple for a god.
It's a total projection of her worldview onto theirs. And the young people, the maids, they just lose it. They're howling with laughter.
But that laughter gets cut short.
Very quickly. Because biology is about to make a very urgent call.
Yeah, we have to talk about what she's been eating and drinking.
It's a digestive nightmare. She's had potent yellow wine, all these rich, oily foods like cream-fried rolls.
Things her body is absolutely not used to.
And then she chugged tons of tea on top of it all.
So oil, alcohol, and hot tea.
A recipe for disaster. She feels this rumbling. The text says chaos inside. And suddenly the Grand Temple doesn't matter. She needs to go. Now.
The panic is immediate. She's asking for paper, and the kids are all shouting, "Not here. You can't do that here."
Right, the sheer terror that she might defile this pristine aristocratic ground.
So a matron, an older servant, has to basically hustle her off to a corner of the garden to do her business.
And then the matron just leaves her there.
Which feels like a huge mistake.
It is a huge breach of protocol. But she probably figured Lu Lao would just wait.
But she's in really bad shape. Dizzy from squatting, drunk, disoriented.
So she steps out from behind the trees, and she has no idea where she is.
Like a labyrinth.
By design. The garden is meant to be full of winding paths and hidden corners. To a sober resident, it's beautiful. To a drunk guest, it's a nightmare.
So she just starts wandering. She finds a stone path and follows it. And finds a bamboo fence with a bean trellis.
And for a second, she feels a flicker of recognition.
Oh, a bean trellis. Just like at home.
She thinks maybe she's found her way out back to a farm.
But it's a trick.
Totally. It's the Patty Sweet Cottage area. It's a simulation of a farm.
An aesthetic, rustic, chic farm built by aristocrats.
So the real farmer is comforted by the fake farm, which only leads her deeper into the illusion.
She keeps going through a circular moon cave gate over a little stream, and then she sees a house.
And this is where things get really strange. This is Bayou's residence, the Happy Red Court.
She walks in, turns a corner, and sees a girl there smiling at her.
And she's so relieved. She thinks, oh, good, they waited for me.
So she rushes forward, tries to grab the girl's hand to say hello, and G-O-N-K.
She smacks right into a hard wooden wall.
The painting.
Yep. And a very specific kind of painting. She's rubbing her head, looking at it, and she marvels that the figure looks convex, like it's three-dimensional.
She even touches it and is shocked that it's flat.
This is almost certainly describing a Western-style painting using techniques like trompe-l'oeil.
So it's foreign, it's high-tech for the time, and it's deceptive.
You got it. The theme is set. You can't trust your eyes in this place. The line between what's real and what's an image is dissolving.
And the sensory overload just ramps up. She finds a little door with a green curtain, pushes through.
And it's dazzling.
Yeah.
Jeweled walls, swords, vases, these intricate green floor tiles. The visual noise just makes her even dizzier.
She's trying to get out, but there's no obvious door, just partitions and screens. She ducks behind one and sees her in-law.
Or who she thinks is her in-law.
She sees this other old woman and just starts laying an end to her. What are you doing here? Sticking flowers in your hair at your age? So vain.
It's peak comedy, but it's so revealing. She's scolding this woman for being improper, not realizing.
She's talking to herself.
In a mirror. But not just any mirror. In her village, a mirror would be a small, blurry, polished piece of bronze.
This is a full-length, crystal-clear Western glass mirror.
She has probably never seen herself this clearly in her entire life. She literally doesn't recognize her own face.
Wow.
And her first instinct is to scold that reflection for trying to fit in, for being vain. She's policing her own image without even knowing it.
She finally reaches out, touches the cold glass, and it clicks. Oh, it's one of those fancy dressing mirrors.
But she's still trapped. The mirror is in a partition blocking her way, so she starts fumbling around the frame.
And again with the Western tech.
Click. She accidentally hits a spring mechanism.
And the mirror just swings open. It's a door.
This is so symbolic. She literally breaks through the illusion, through the reflection, and stumbles into the reality behind it.
And what a reality. She falls through this secret door, now like 80% drunk, totally exhausted.
And she sees an exquisite bed.
After the maze, the painting, the mirror, she's found the final destination.
And she does what any of us would do.
She face plants.
Collapses. Her body just gives out. She is instantly deeply asleep.
Okay, so while all this is happening, back outside, there's a low-key panic.
Right. Her little grandson is crying, "Where's Grandma?" And this is when Jiren gets involved.
Jiren is Boyu's chief maid. She's the manager of his entire world.
The protector of order.
Yeah.
And she has a hunch Lu Lao Lao might have wandered into the backyard, so she goes to check his rooms.
She walks in, and the first clue she gets isn't something she sees.
It's something she hears.
Thunderous snoring.
And then the smell.
The book is very specific.
Oh, yeah. It says the room smells of alcohol and flatulence.
It's this raw biological reality invading a space that is supposed to be perfect and perfumed.
Surin walks further in and sees the horror. Lu Lao, limbs everywhere, dead asleep on the bed.
Explain why this is such a catastrophe. I mean, it's bad, but how bad?
It's monumental. This is Bayu's bed. He is the precious jade, the center of their universe. His room is a sanctuary.
And Lu Lao is a peasant from the fields.
Her presence there, her smell, her chaotic energy. It's a form of pollution. It violates every class boundary. It's profane.
If the wrong people found out.
Shirin would be severely punished. Lu Lao would be thrown out in disgrace. They might literally burn the bed.
So Shirin doesn't scream. She goes into damage control mode.
Immediately, she rushes over, shakes Lu Lao awake.
And Lu Lao wakes up terrified. And her first instinct is so telling.
It's heartbreaking. She immediately checks the sheets. Oh God, I didn't get it dirty, did I? She knows she's crossed a major line.
Shirin shushes her, then grabs a burner and throws in, like, 4 bundles of lily incense.
She's fumigating the room, erasing the smell of peasant reality and replacing it with the scent of aristocracy. It's all about restoring the illusion.
Then she helps fix Lu Lao's clothes and make sure she didn't, vomit.
Which would have been a true disaster. Then comes the cover story.
Right.
She tells her, when we go out, if anyone asks, just say you got drunk and fell asleep on a rock in the garden.
On a rock? Why a rock?
Because sleeping on a rock is quaint. It fits the silly country grandma narrative. It's harmless.
Sleeping in the young master's bed is not.
Not. That's a taboo. Jiren is protecting everyone's face, but mostly she's protecting the sanctity of Bayu's world.
She gives her some tea to sober her up, and Lu Lao finally looks around the room properly. Whose room is this? It's like a heavenly palace.
And Jiren drops the bomb. This is Bayu's bedroom.
And Lu Lao is just Terrified. Scared stiff.
Because now that she's sober, she gets it. She understands the hierarchy she just violated.
And Jiren, cool as a cucumber, just walks her out, tells everyone she found her sleeping on the grass.
And everyone buys it. Crisis averted. The world is put back in order.
It's just an incredible sequence. You go from a poop joke to this deep philosophical funhouse.